Well, hello there, Daniel.
Oh, hello. Nice to see you again.
How are you?
I'm doing very great.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Hope and Heals.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
We're going to do a little bit of a follow up to our topic from last night. Our segment was on grief.
Grief. It's a very deep subject.
It is deep. It went kind of long, and I think that it was for a good reason. Can you tell us how you can relate to grief? I see that you're holding one of our Hope and Heals booklets,
Yes,
our 10-week exploration journey. And then also I see here to the side a few photos of you and your mother, it seems like, and then also your grandmother right here.
yes,
Can you
ma'am.
please tell us a little bit about what
Grief.
what kind of grief have you experienced in your life?
The grief I've experienced is like first start off. I was growing up with no father. I mean, he was alive, but he just wasn't in my life all the way, for whatever reason. So,
Not present.
sure. So just dealing with that at first, my mother was my foundation. She was my rock. She was the one that kept me going. And in 2007, she went missing. She disappeared somehow. Was gone. So not knowing exactly what happened to her and how she disappeared, it takes a real strong toll on your life. It's something that you deal with for the rest of your days. And
Right.
you take it with you, and how it affects you is all on how you move. How you choose to accept it and keep pushing.
How old were you, Daniel?
I was about maybe 12 or 13, no older than 13.
No older than 13.
Yeah, it was at a real tender age. You know what I mean? It was at a real young age where
Absolutely. You were just turning
my mind was
teenager.
still forming.
Yes, of course. Of course.
And
What are some of the last moments that you remember with your mother?
just like getting dinner at the table all the time. I was getting some macaroni and some pork chops, some steaks, stuff like that. Like mom cooking dinner and then her leaving. Like she split to go play pool one night and told us she loved us. Like it was a normal day.
Right.
It wasn't nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
And then just never returned home.
Yeah.
I know my mom, she wouldn't just dip in. And not come
Absolutely.
back.
How long has it been, Daniel?
It's been about 13. Oh no, it's been about 14 to 15 years.
14 years, right? September.
Yes, ma'am. And it's a good long while. You know what I mean? And it doesn't get any easier every day that it goes by. The only part that does get easier is that it's slightly less on your mind due to the fact that the world keeps going. That's the only thing. But
Right.
when those time comes and you still remember them, like that pain, it comes right back.
Right. Right. So do you think that you can relate definitely to some of the top roots that we deal with at Hope and Heals, like some of the shame and the rejection and
For sure.
maybe some of the anger?
Yeah, I definitely did. Like I deal with that trauma. It's a traumatic experience. At times, I didn't think that there was love in me. Like I felt like I hated the world. I was mad at the world.
Did you?
Sure. The shame, the rejection, the fear. Like the fear of not being accepted. That people don't really know exactly who you are and that they're not gonna like you or something.
Right.
I was always just me.
Right.
But I fought through that fear.
Right.
The anger definitely. It was always there. It was kind of tough to get it, like to bring it out, but it was definitely there. You know what I mean? And I was subconsciously channeling it into other things.
Like what?
Like art. I used to graffiti a lot. I used to listen to hip hop music, and that was a good outlet because the anger that they were expressing in their songs and their music, like it touched my heart because I was mad at something. I just didn't really have a straight focus on things. It was just things that I was dealing with that I didn't like.
Right. A lot of people deal with grief and really experience anger. So what were you angry at? How were you angry? What did that look like? Who were you angry at? And how did it manifest in you?
I was really like it manifested in myself due to like feeling like something was missing. You know what I mean? Like I felt like there was some emptiness that was in me. I mean, I was mad at something or someone, but I didn't know exactly for what reason.
Mm-hmm.
So like one thing that I could focus on was like not having my father in my life. You know what I mean? Like there were things that I knew I wasn't being helped in exactly the right way with, that my mother as a female wouldn't be able to help me with. You know what I mean?
Right.
She wasn't gonna be able to do what a dad should do. You know, to talk to me about things that a father should, or play football with me outside. She would. She's able to, but that's to me. That's not what a woman is like.
Right.
Cut out exactly.
So the grief kind of made it easier to be angrier at your father for not being there.
Yeah, for sure, like that.
Mm-hmm.
That absence, it made me feel like man, is it because of us? Is it my fault that this family isn't like a picture perfect family that a lot of people have, or you would think they have? You see all the shows on TV. You know what I mean? It's a cookie cut family and stuff. So like, not having that, made me feel like, is it my fault? You know, am I a bad kid, or was I ugly or something?
Well, you're certainly not ugly.
Thank you, man.
All right. So some of those thoughts do lead to shame, right? Because that's at your core, that's who you are, and shame has to do with the realm of I'm not accepted, and what's the matter with me? I'm not good enough. Excellent. Yes, yes. So all of that bundled up was you for how long? From 13 till about what?
Like 13 till about, pretty much to like 24, 25, 26.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like really to like 2021, something like that.
For years,
like
right?
Being 21, somewhere around there. You know, because I started to look at things in a different light around that time.
That's right. So how do you express your grieving, your grief?
My grief, now I choose to find an outlet to express what I went through, and that I made it through that. You know, that I overcame things.
Mm-hmm.
But before, you know, I was doing wrong things, bad things. You know what I mean? I went in and out the streets, was in and out of jail. You know, incarceration. There was a lot of things that, like fighting any type of power or an authority. Like I always had a problem with people trying to control me. You know what I mean? And
Right.
just try to do whatever I wanted to do, and those things inevitably led me to low places. You know, they led me to dark. They led me to being in like unsafe situations and places. You know what I mean? Around people that were unsafe for me. You know, really just God had His arm over me, so I stayed alive through a lot of it.
That's right. But you fighting authorities and always having that combat, even then that wasn't you, not the real you at your core. It was the angry you, right?
For sure. I mean,
so now you see that in retrospect, and that's why you say you're able to accept yourself and to receive the love that you're worthy of.
Yes, ma'am. I held on to a jacket that wasn't mine. You know what I mean? I held on to not being good enough for anything, or being ugly, like people thinking that you're an ugly person and stuff like that. Like, that you're nothing, you know what I mean? That you're disappointment, that you're lower than the dirt, you know, because of the way that you chose to grieve with things, you know what I mean?
That's beautiful. I like the way you say it. That's the jacket that you chose to wear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It's a cover, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's a target on your back, you know? It's like a reason for people to point the finger and stuff.
Wow.
Like,
and so after your mother went missing, your grandmother pretty much stepped in and tried to do the role that nobody can fill ever, but she did try her hardest and her best. And tell us a little bit about that life.
Yes, ma'am. At first it's hard to deal with, you know, because nobody else really has that special technique of showing the love that a mother does. You know what I mean? That one solid, your mother right there is not gonna. She's gonna love you past anything, no matter what. She's gonna accept you no matter what. You know what I mean? She's gonna help you through no matter what. Nothing else comes before that. You're it. You know what I mean? You're the bee's knees.
Solid.
Yeah. So it's like, transferring over, like your grandmother too, I feel like is that too, but it's enhanced, you know what I mean? Like it's even stronger than the mother's love because she saw what that person, whoever your mother is, she saw past the things that you know what I mean, your people
Might not.
they might not see it, you know, like she's looking at everything, like the situation that's going on. You have your mother and you have the kid and they're going through life together. The grandmother is stepping on the outside and she's looking at all of the situations going on and she's still like she's loving even harder because she wants to step in and whatever, but it's not her life, you know.
Right.
So it's enhanced, you know what I mean. But from a child's perspective, you're looking up at your mother, and that love is the top notch love. That's the
Right.
thing that's the highest over everything,
Right.
you know. So it's a different transition, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it was tough not having my mother there, and I didn't exactly see the love that my grandmother had for me. Like you don't recognize it, you don't see you don't see the face value. You don't see the
Right.
underlying value. You see the face value.
Right.
So it's
And
like
how long did your mother live? I mean, your grandmother live. When did she pass away? How
yeah,
long?
she recently passed away. I think in what 2019, 2020.
2019. Mm-hmm.
About 2019.
What was that like for you? A second blow, or
it-
third, or 100th, or
Yeah, it was. I took a lot of hits, you know. But
right.
like my mother was one of the biggest ones. You know what I mean?
Correct.
That one was like a real set in,
Correct.
almost like an accumulated illness. You know what I mean? Like if you get cancer or something, it's like, fuck, man, this really hurts.
Right.
Like this is real deep, and you're dealing with that, and you're getting past, you're trying to get past that, and it takes forever. You know, you're still going through it to the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then boom, my grandmother went and she fell, and it's like
How is the grieving different with that?
it's different because going through what I went through, I saw that she was still trying to give the love past everything. She was giving me that mother's love that I was missing since my mother passed.
Mm-hmm.
So when she went, it was a whole second, like a haymaker, you know what I mean? The first one was a good hook, and the second one was like a bad haymaker about to put you down, you know what I mean? Almost knocked you out. Like I was just already better equipped to deal with losing something, you know what I mean?
Got it.
Where I was at, there's things that you can't change.
Right.
Yeah, and you accept the power of not being able to have any say on what goes on certain things. So if you can't
Exactly.
control it, you can't allow yourself to be affected by it. You know what I
Right.
mean? You just have to accept it is what it is and keep moving.
Right.
So it really hit. It really hurt a lot. I had already just like times I'll still just sit there and talk to my grandma. I love you, grandma, and just break down and start crying. Or
Do you?
For sure.
And that's good for you, right?
For sure, it feels good when I cry. It lets you know you're still human, you still have a heart, you still feel things, you know, because when things happen and traumatic events happen, sometimes you get numb.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get like
Yeah.
almost a cold heart.
Right.
But when you cry, you know, it's like it's thawing out. That's why the drips come. That's why the tears come.
Do you ever feel her around?
Oh, for sure, all the time I feel her around. I know in every instance that I'm not safe, but she keeps me safe. She's there.
Yeah.
You know, it's God, but it's her, like, with her
That's
hand
right.
on God's shoulder saying, can you please look after him right here?
And what about your mom? Do you ever feel her?
Yeah, I feel her presence a lot.
You
I
do?
feel her a lot. Yeah.
Any special time or specifics? Can you share with us? We see the smiles breaking through.
I really don't remember them off the top of my head, but anytime any of her songs come on, any of her music comes on,
Yeah.
I feel the vibe automatically. Or whenever I want to dance, you know what I mean? I start doing moves and I feel like I see moves that she has.
Yes.
Or when I laugh sometimes, or when I cry, when I get mad, things like that. Those emotions,
Yeah.
I hear her. You know, like in my laugh, I'll hear her laugh too. I heard it when I was in prison.
Yeah.
I laughed at something, and it's like sometimes I hear you laugh when I laugh. It's crazy. You know? Like,
It's those little things, right, that keep you going.
hey, for sure, those little sentiments. You know,
That's right.
And the things you can't miss them. You can't avoid them.
That's
you can't
right.
stop them
You
because that's in
cannot.
your genetics.
That's
you know,
right.
due to my mom, like
That's the beauty of God.
that's
And
the
his
beauty
whole
of God.
plan.
Amen. Amen. That's the Lord right there. You know, He gives you those blessings. Those
That's
are
right.
gems.
So, in wrapping up today, what would you say to the public? What would you say to our audience who is maybe, not aware of what healing is or wholeness, or just going through life with someone? Maybe they're at it alone. Maybe they are not, too keen on the wisdom that comes from doing life as a tribe. What do you say to that? To those people that may be hurting by themselves, suffering in silence?
Say first off, and this is not just as a Christian, you'd say, this a person who believes that there's one ultimate almighty God in the highest. There's somebody up there.
That's right.
And if you don't have anybody else that's with you, there's no one else that's on your side, no one else on your team, you look to God.
That's right.
Speak out to God with all of your heart and all of your being. You'll feel and you'll find him to be real. He speaks to you in every little thing that's going on in this life. You just have to know how to listen, And they say that all the time, but when I say it, it's that when I move and I do something, I'll notice the world going some type of way, or I'll notice a little movement of some type of thing, and I'll think, what is God trying to tell me? What is this ultimate being trying to tell me? And it'll tell me to either move right or move left, step into the street or step out of the street. And the second thing I'll say is, don't ever give up. You have enough heart to make it. You have enough strength to make it. Even if they tell you you don't have enough strength to make it. Whatever they tell you, it's not true. They're lying to you. Stay strong. And look for those who aim to keep you positive. They aim to keep you successful. Look for those that motivate you. Look for those that show you love no matter what. Because that's what unconditional love means. No matter the condition, they still love you. And it all boils back down to God.
That's right. Two are better than one, right?
For sure. Two are better than one. Even if there's nobody else left on the planet,
that's right.
There's still a being there with you. It's you, your mind, your soul, your body, all of that. Think of those in unison.
Well, I see that in you, Daniel. I see that you've taken on that teamship, that partnership with God. He is truly your companion, and that's something that should be marveled at, because you've overcome a lot, and there have been so many arrows just thrown at your heart, daggers at your mind, and everywhere left and right have, destruction and corruption have been at your left and right, and nothing has touched you. Nothing. Hard times, but what's a hard time without a good time? What's a good time without a hard time, right?
For
now
sure.
you can
appreciate.
You can appreciate it.
Nothing worth having comes easy.
That's right.
So you learn things, and that's another thing that I'll say. Through the struggle, look forward. Don't look forward to them because it hurts sometimes, but every new pain is a lesson learned. It's wisdom gained.
I like that.
It's something that you can make something out of that.
I love that.
It's not gonna break you, it makes you. Like, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. It's because that lesson that you find in it is a form of working out, and it builds your strength. It gets you stronger. A muscle needs to be ripped in order to repair and get greater.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for giving us your wisdom. There's a lot of it, and those nuggets that really have tugged on our heart tonight. We will keep you in prayer. We will bless your name and wish you nothing but the best in this life.
Amen.
Thank you.
Do the same for you.
Good night.
Good night.